8:30, I'd like to call to order the regular board meeting for Hicksville Exempted Village Schools. Today is St. Patrick's Day, and not all of you are wearing green. All right, roll call, please.
Thank you, Madam President. Mrs. Carrier?
Here.
Mr. Levy?
Here.
Mr. Methvin?
Here.
Mr. Vetter?
Here.
And Mrs. Mosley?
Here. We stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Well, I'd say welcome to any visitors, but none of you out there are strangers. Eric always has something for us to look at, so.
Well, it's food for thought to take with you, and that's why I brought it tonight. Is you don't need to. This is something that Mike, John, and I are working on right now. But before I go to that, we did get all the mowers back from the downtime guarantee program. We're ready for spring. We're ready for the grass to grow, start mowing. We got the park buildings all de-winterized, water turned back on, and everything tested on those. We're all good. Filters were all delivered today for filter changes coming up this week and next week for spring break. We've had some camera meetings with the technology department on possible upgrades on our cameras due to our cameras are considered Chinese cameras and they call back home to China. And it's on the list of government camera systems that are not approved through the government. So we've been meeting on that. I've been interviewing some custodial opening we have for full-time second, third shift. And it's towards the end of the year, so it's really our busy time when it comes to all the events going on in the building, all the music programs and awards programs, graduation and stuff. So getting ready for spring break, a lot of cleaning to do. But the packet I give you, like I said, Mike Rue, John Adams, myself, we've been in discussion since February of this year. Gardner had reached out to Mike, letting him know about a program that was out there through the federal government called the Inflation Reduction Act. Through that act, geothermal building is one of the items on the list that, even though they're owned by a tax-exempt organization, we would qualify for direct pay as part of the enhanced investment tax credit. They told us on the Zoom meetings that there was a 30 to 60% chance of getting a rebate. I think it's more like 30 to 40, probably.
30% of the cost.
Yes.
30 to 60%.
Of the total cost of the project.
Yeah.
Yes, that includes all the engineering, all the installation, all the materials. So if we're, let's just say we're looking at replacing $1 million worth of HVAC equipment, that would be possibly $400,000 that we would get back, and we would have, out of the $1 million. So right now, all of our equipment, between all of our heat pumps and geothermal pumps, geothermal field, everything's going on 18 years old. The stamp that's on all of our heat pumps in the building are 2007 when this building was built. So they're going on 18 years old. Life expectancy of a commercial grade geothermal heat pumps 20 to 25 years. We've replaced 3 of these within the last 6 months, 6 of them in the last 16 and a half years. We have no idea ever which one would be the next one that would go out. Some of them are communication issues where they run 24/7 like this room used to do until we got it replaced. Over Christmas break, it would run 24/7, 7 days a week. Over Christmas break, unless we shut the breaker off. It lost communication with the computer, and to replace the circuit board to make it talk with the computer system again, you're looking at $3,000 to $4,000 for circuit boards. I actually had to change 2 circuit boards to get them to communicate. Wasn't really worth dumping $3,000 or $4,000 into a unit that is 16, 17 years old. So this was one of 3 units that we actually replaced. Like I said, the last time we ordered the 3 units in June of 24, and the first time we had a chance to get one installed by the contracting company, just due to one that showed up and it can't be done during school hours, was October 18th, the Friday after parent-teacher conferences, and the next 2 was not installed until Christmas break. So there's a little bit of a lead time that the room would have to leave the unit. And the units are all different voltages, different sizes. There are some that are the same, but for us, we don't have any storage, and for us to buy a dozen of them and set them on a shelf, I mean, not knowing when you're going to use them or put them in. The warranty starts by when you purchase them or install them. All depends on the vendor. But it doesn't make a lot of sense to have a lot of them set on the shelf. I did get 6 spare circuit boards found on eBay with some help of another contractor. I plan on swapping 2 of those out, one at a time, to make sure the first one works over spring break, because currently we have 2 more units, one on the elementary and one on the high school site. two more that are not communicating. They run 24/7. They try to maintain factory default settings of 68, 72 degrees, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So I'm going to change one of those over spring break and see if the company can commission that new board and get it to talk again. And I'm talking like $25 for one of these boards. So it was a used one online. All this being said, just kind of give you a pamphlet. Gardner also deals with the Lion Group, and they're kind of the company that oversees the project, making sure he's qualified for all the rebates, kind of the legal end of it. And we meet again on Friday, 10:30, I think it is. We have another Zoom meeting with them. But this company, Gardner and the Lion, would like to be present between the Zoom meeting and one person in person on the April board meeting. So I told them we kind of put a bug in your guys' ear, let them know that what's coming along, let you guys do a little bit of research, come up with questions you guys may have for them. I think that's all we got.
The Gardner rep is willing to come in and speak to you guys if you would like to hear directly from them. They would come in and speak to you and answer questions and whatnot. But it's a potential great opportunity to update our systems without having to pay 100% of the cost. We're currently in the two funds that were set aside for the maintenance, set aside at the beginning of the lifeblood of this building. About $760,000 in there. So I don't know where we may go with this, but there is, a decent amount of capital there to help this project if we do proceed with it.
So just out of curiosity, because I don't have a lot of knowledge on the geothermal system, I get the heat pumps and stuff, what are you, when we're talking about, are we talking about replacing everything, digging stuff up and
Nothing
replacing
to do.
or?
The geothermal field, the life expectancy of the geothermal field without any kind of upgrades is 50 years.
Okay.
It'd be the units that are hanging in the hallway.
Gotcha.
Really.
That makes a lot more sense.
So when we replaced 3 of them this last time around, it was a little under 30,000. So you're looking at about $10,000 a unit.
Okay.
That's removing the old one, taking the grid out. I mean, they had 4 guys here for the 2 units. They had 4 guys here for a week, taking the old ones down, running all the electrical, tying back all the drain lines in, all the geothermal lines in, communicating with the system, putting all the graphics back on the computer for us to talk to it. And so it was 29,000 something. I mean, right at $10,000 a unit is what it costs.
Okay.
So the project too, since if we did do this, it sets a scope and size that would have to be done over the summer. And I would imagine at this point in time, since we're already almost to April, it'd be more like the summer of 26.
Yeah.
So the equipment would be another year plus older. And then the funding of it is we pay for it up front, and then we'd get reimbursed, much like you would on a person's tax return. So that wouldn't come until, let's just say, March or so of 27. So for somewhere between middle of 2026 until the end of the first quarter in 27, we wouldn't have that money back, but then it would direct check to us or electronic deposit to us for whatever percentage the project is going to cover.
Because of the size of the project, would we have to bid it out?
Well, yeah, there would be a bid required in that. There's a good chance, we haven't really talked about that yet,
We talked about
but
working with cooperatives, where some of the stuff, and they gotta use prevailing wage on this type of project. So I'm not sure about the whole bidding process of that.
they also talked about there's a chance, is it based on size or something, that we may be able to get by without having to do the prevailing wage. But that's something that would be find out as it got farther into the weeds on it.
Okay.
But yes, but I think a lot of that process would be taken care of by Gardner,
Okay.
however it's done, I'm not sure, but either way, it's a good point, 'cause it's definitely in that dollar range.
I've dealt with Gardner, quite a bit. They were the dealer for all the equipment that's originally in here, so I bought a lot of parts from them over the years. They did not get the last bid when we did the last 3 heat pumps that the company that does our control works. They did all that, installed that work. I'm very familiar with them.
you, Eric. I appreciate you typing this up. It makes it a lot easier to.
Give you some information to look over and have a month until they're on site, so.
One of the things that he talked about too, Eric talked about, were the cameras throughout the building. Mr. Schaefer applied for an Attorney General grant of the amount of $40,000 that would be used for the cameras that we received a week ago Monday. So we have received $40,000. It's but unknown yet exactly what the project would cost. The upper level bid has come in, or quote, and it's would be approaching $300,000. We already said that's not the direction we're going to go. But there is a couple other companies that maybe will be providing some cost. See where those go. You said the one of them, I think, is at $160,000
More or less, yeah.
or less, and then there's still another one.
We're trying to set up a Zoom meeting with them to go over a demo of the product. And they're very familiar with the school and been on site many, many times.
Okay. Any questions?
Thank you, Eric. All right. So we'll move on to principal reports, and I know we only have 2 of those tonight, so I'd really like to see rock, paper, scissors, guys.
We already know I'd win that, so I'll just go ahead and start.
Gauntlet toss.
Yeah, right. So I want to start by recognizing one of our middle school students. On Friday, February 21st, we had our middle school house assembly, and I want to say a big congratulations to Maddox Yoder for winning our February Essential Ace Award. He's an awesome kid, brings a lot of positive energy to our school, really hard worker, and just really deserving of this award. So just wanted to recognize Maddox here tonight. With it being the end of the third quarter, we've had our incentive days last Friday. As I've kind of talked about before, behavior, attendance, grades, work ethic, and all that kind of stuff go into determining the kids that are eligible for these incentive days. But our 5th graders were able to bring in electronics, so we had kids bringing in flat screen TVs and Xboxes and different things, and they set them up in Miss Ainsworth and Mr. Rosebrock's room, and they just had a great time Friday afternoon playing those. So that was really cool to see. Our 6th graders spent the afternoon having a movie day and eating popcorn, which they really enjoyed. Our 7th and 8th graders got to go to the Fort Wayne YMCA. They got to swim, they played volleyball and basketball in their gym, and they had a rock wall there for them to climb. So they had a lot of fun doing that too. I want to say a big thank you to the Wholesale House for sponsoring our 7th and 8th grade trip, and just all the 5th through 8th grade teachers for putting these incentives together. It really is a great motivating thing throughout the quarter. We've seen a lot of positives from these incentives, but they are a lot of work. So I really appreciate the teachers doing that and rewarding our kiddos. We are looking forward to our spring sports season. It's crazy. We're already to spring sports, but on March 31st, it's a Monday, our middle school track team is going to have the first of their mini events. So we just want to wish them and all of our spring athletes good luck. Just a note, we've begun in the middle school our scheduling process for the 25-26 school year. Students have chosen certain electives that they're interested in, and now we're in the process of crafting the individual schedules. So that's quite a process. We're still a ways off, but we're in the beginning stages of that for next year. And then finally, obviously the month of April is our state testing month. Our 5th and 8th graders have 3 tested areas, ELA, math, and science. Our 6th and 7th graders have 2 tested areas, ELA and math. And I just want to stress the importance to our students and our parents of just how important attendance is over this next month or so as we hit review really hard and then obviously administer these assessments that kiddos are here. So be on the lookout, parents, for a form detailing the different grade levels and the different dates of their state tests, just so we can be prepared and rested and all that good stuff. We're really proud of the year we've had. Our teachers and students have worked extremely hard, and we're excited to see how we do on those. That's it.
Thank you, Tony.
Yep.
Aaron?
Right, well, our busiest time of the year is starting in the high school. First off, we have our seniors taking off for New York City tomorrow evening. And then they are going to be returning back to Hicksville early morning on Saturday. So 36 seniors are going this year, and look forward to that exciting opportunity for them. Spring Innovative Interview semifinals are this Wednesday at PFW. The top 8 place finishers from the second semester will compete to see who joins the top finishers from first semester. And then those students will go to the finals, which will take place on April 7th at Defiance College. Spring sports are also currently underway. First contests are starting very soon. Varsity softball will play host to Fayette next Tuesday, March 25th at 5 p.m. Varsity baseball will play at Crestview on April 3rd at 5 p.m. And then our first track meet will be on April 8th at 4:30 p.m. when we host Wayne Trace, Stryker, and Hilltop here at home. Our high school student council had a successful student blood drive last week. They were able to collect 24 units of blood, so thank you to all the students, staff, community members who came in to donate. On Wednesday, April 2nd, our seniors will be traveling to Columbus with Mr. Blue, the annual State House tour. And then on Friday, April 11th, the seniors will be participating in job interviews with local businesses here at the high school. That's to further practice their interview skills and then also learn about local job opportunities. So some employers will be coming with actual opportunities for students, some seasonal, some full-time. So that's an exciting day for them. I'd also like to give a shout out to our seniors who did an awesome job at the annual senior coronation on March 8th. It was a great performance, full of laughs, and our students really did a great job. Congratulations to Maria Saunders for being named the March Essential Ace for the high school. She was presented this award last Friday at the high school house assembly. And then finally, our state testing in the high school begins on Tuesday, April 15th. Our first test is going to be ELA 2 for the sophomores. Sophomores take a total of 4 tests, and then the freshmen take 1 test, Algebra 1. And that's all we have for the spring because seniors already tested government and the juniors are done with their ACT. But we do wish all of our freshmen and sophomores the best of luck on the tests and expect that they give it their best. That's all I got.
Thank you. Eric, do we have anything for Fort County?
Yeah, a couple things here. The CBA was approved for the 4 county board and teachers, so that's all good news. You're going to hear Mike talk more about the fair funding for local schools, which is a very big deal in the wrong direction for the local schools. But trade schools, it really doesn't affect nearly as much, so it doesn't have 4 county too worried. And then on the most exciting news of all is they break ground on May 2nd for the addition.
Thank you, Eric. And superintendent's report.
Yep, very brief. We've been conducting interviews in several different departments, so we've been setting in on a lot of those. I went to Columbus, and I actually unfortunately missed coronation, but I was in Columbus and watched the kids that participated in the archery competition down there, which was fun to watch that. So did that, and other than that, it's the usual stuff this time of the year of getting new positions figured out. And I go to a job fair on Wednesday. Where am I going? Where are you sending me? Ada? Yeah. So I'll be there on Wednesday. So that's it.
How they got a polar bear mascot in Ohio is beyond me, but it is not. It's got the Regal Beagle and a big football. I mean, that's about it.
We had a lady in the building today from Siberia.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
She's touring the country for educational stuff.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's
Shorts
fun.
and tank top.
So.
All right, so we are moving on to the minutes and financials. I need a motion, please.
I'll move.
Thank you, Galen.
I'll second.
Thanks, Jen. So the minutes from the organizational regular board meeting on February 17th, 2025, treasurer's consent agenda items, cash reconciliation as of February 28th, 2025, financial statements for February 2025, approve amended official certificate of estimated sources for fiscal year 2025 as presented, total general fund resources of $19,347,445.42, and total resources for all funds of $24,309,705.98. approve fiscal year 2025 permanent appropriations as presented. Total general fund appropriations of $14,486,541.36, and total appropriations for all funds of $17,269,640.45. To approve the following then and now certificate for Northwest Ohio Welch Trophy, which went for staff shirts for $3,382 as an incentive. And to authorize the treasurer to enter into the Ohio Workers' Compensation Group Rating Program administered by Sedgwick as the district's third-party administrator, effective with the policy year beginning January 1st, 2026. Accept the following donations: $250 from Bob and Roxy Tenbrook for Special Olympics, $668.84 from PTO for Elementary Kindness Week, $250 from the Wholesale House for Middle School Incentive Program. Discussion? No? Cool.
I don't, not necessarily related to the items that you just had there, but as Eric brought up, Fair School Funding Plan. I sent out notices to you guys a week or two ago regarding contacting a rep. Mr. Kloffenstein did reach back out to me. We spoke for a few minutes, had a good conversation. He said with his questions he's asked the Finance Committee, he doesn't feel like they are interested in moving the base costs from 2022 onwards. He did kind of think that maybe something could be done somehow, but he right now did not, or at that time, think that that's going to be changed. That's huge. Right now there's hundreds and hundreds of school districts throughout the state. Fortunately, we're not one of them, that the simulations show that they're actually going to be losing money if the base costs don't get moved. With the base costs moving, it changes that number dramatically, where there's not near as many schools that are actually losing. When I say losing money, whatever they're getting current in this school year through state funding would actually become less either one or both those years, and or in total. So we currently, our simulation says we will get more money in each of those next 2 years in the biennial budget. The simulation also says that these figures can likely change, and that the whole idea of the simulations that come out is every school district, and what it's looking for is this is what the state is looking to fund towards those schools. And if you take out some of the add-ons, actually the entire state public schools are to lose money in each of those 2 years. However, the voucher private school funding program is set to go up about 8% in both years. So Mr. Hoffman in the House has stated that there's an inability to continue to pay for public schools, but is showing an appetite to increase the payment to private schools. That doesn't make sense to me, but I think whatever we can do to reach out to our legislators, make contact with them, let them know that we're doing great things here, that public education makes up about 90% of the students in our state, and public students are our future. Our students, our kids are our future. Not just public, but all of them. But public schools make up the grand majority of them. So we can't ignore investing into our children. And no, we don't do that here at Hicksville. Our staff, our community, our parents, they're all invested. But it's also important that the investment comes from the top of the state of Ohio and takes care of our entire state, not ignore it and leave us on our own. With that said, too, one of the things that can be a detriment to the whole thing, if the state isn't funding schools fairly and equitably, then what's going to end up happening, it's going to go back to the local taxpayers. And taxpayers are already taxed enough. We don't want to have to go back to them and ask for more money. So it's vitally important that the biennial budget takes care of the public schools. So if there's anything you can add, if you know anybody, if you just reach out to our representatives, and that's to the people in the community, reach out to those and let them know that the importance of funding our schools is just, it's really there. They need to do it. And if you got questions, maybe wanting some information, I may be able to supply it, so reach out to the treasurer's office, and I can see what I can do to help anybody out who wants to speak to our representatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you giving us those updates too, and easy click information. All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Carrier?
Yes.
Mr. Levy?
Yes.
Mr. Vetter?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mazur?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Moving on to the employment of certified staff. Motion, please.
I'll move.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Tyler. To approve the following as stated, Melena Huffine as certified substitute for the 24-25 school year, Caleb Horvath as certified substitute for the 24-25 school year. Excuse me. Michael Green as a certified substitute for the 24-25 school year. Any discussion? No. Roll call, please.
Mr. Vetter?
Yes.
Mr. Levy?
Yes.
Mrs. Carrier?
Yes.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mazur?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. For the employment of classified staff, if you could pull your addendum out, because we'll go through that also here. As long as you're okay, Mike, with us combining again.
I'd just maybe make them two because
separate
just,
ones?
yeah.
All right, so we'll start with the employment of classified staff on our agenda, as is. I need a motion, please.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Eric. Melena Huffine as a classified substitute for the 24-25 school year, and volunteer assistant track coaches for 24-25 school year as follows: Josh Fries and J.R. Mendoza. Discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Carrier?
Yes.
Mr. Vetter?
Yes.
Mr. Levy? Yes. Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mazur?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. We'll move to the addendum for the employment of classified staff. A motion, please.
I'll move.
Thank you, Galen.
I'll second.
Thanks, Tyler. To issue a one-year contract to Addie Saylor for the Assistant to the Treasurer Payroll Benefit Specialist with 10 years' experience effective May 1st, 2025. Discussion? Yay.
Yeah,
Finally.
I'm really excited about Mrs. Saylor. I think she will be an incredible addition to our school district, so let's welcome her aboard.
Yeah, we'll say that. Congratulations to Addie. Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
Mr. Levy?
Yes.
Mrs. Carrier?
Yes.
Mr. Vetter?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mazur?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Moving on to services and agreements. A motion, please.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Galen. Effective March 11, 2025, the cafeteria will use Custer's Dairy. Master Services Agreement between Hicksville Exempted Village School District and Hazel Health Incorporated, DBA Hazel Health of Ohio, and Telehealth Services of USA. Discussion?
I just want to note that Custer's Dairy has mentioned that they would keep the price the same as what ARPS has had. So at least for this year, as this year process, we'll have to see what happens starting year 2, but it's next year.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Carrier?
Yes.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
Mr. Levy?
Yes.
Mr. Vetter?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mazur?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Moving on to other business, motion, please.
I'll move.
Thank you, Eric.
I'll second.
Thank you, Galen. On this one, I'm assuming we're just,
Yeah, this
Replacing.
one, the second item is basically being replaced. It's the same topic, it's just worded differently.
okay, so we have high school volleyball team to attend Ohio State volleyball camp from July 25th to 27th, and then on the extra sheet, we see that substitute bus and van drivers and activity bus van drivers are to be paid per bus driver's pay scale at step 0 for both driving and sitting time. Discussion. It's nice that we got this taken care of. I think it's going to help a lot.
Yeah, the revision that we brought forward here at the last moment is to keep pace with when things change, so it's step 0. Currently, the dollar amount's $21.81. Well, if that changes in the future, then we'd have to make another motion. This way, it will continue to ride out.
Whatever
Yeah, that's
step
good.
0 would be.
Process solution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are good.
All right. So, roll call, please.
Mr. Vetter?
Yes.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Carey?
Yes.
Mr. Levy?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mazur?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Is there any old business that anyone would like to discuss? Okay. Any other discussion for the board, commentary? We don't have any unannounced. We will be moving into executive session. We won't have any immediate action to be taken. We are going in for number 1, to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official. If that is fine, I'll say probably 6:07 that we would move into executive session, give you guys a break if you need it. Or are you guys ready to plow through? All right, then we'll go in at 6:01. We need a motion, please.
I'll move.
I'll second.
All right. So Jen and Tyler between 6:01, and we will figure out the end. All right, and a roll call, please.
Mrs. Carrier?
Yes.
Mr. Levy?
Yes.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
Mr. Vetter?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mazur?
Yes, and please note that our next meeting is scheduled to be Monday, April 21st. That is Easter Monday. I don't know if that's a conflict for any of you or not. I just wanted to check before we solidified. Are we good with April 21st? All right, so we will have it April 21st at 5:30 here. All right. All right, let's move into executive session. Your